the first GOPIO International Women's Conference. Though we've had such a special invocation from Her Holiness, I never begin anything without an invocation myself. So I will just do a small Vedic chant before we begin. Om out of wholeness, wholeness emerges. If out of wholeness we take out wholeness, wholeness indeed remains. Peace, peace, peace. So that is what we wish. Wholeness of the soul, wholeness of the outer being, the inner being, of life, of environment, of relationships, of manifestation. So with that beautiful note, we begin the conference. I would like to speak about the vision before we even thought of a conference, or even before I became the chairperson of the GOPIO International Women's Conference or the Women's Council. Through my life, through the various phases of my life, I have seen that women in any situation try to rise up to the occasion. They have wisdom, they have an inner beauty, they have many aptitudes which were given to them by the divine when they were born, and they have many skills. The ability to work, the ability to tolerate. And yet, we find that society tells them that there are certain things they can do and there are certain things they can't do, which is basically contrary to what they believe from within. But when something gets repeated again and again, it is a kind of auto-suggestion of society which is thrust upon the individual. And slowly but surely, women in society begin to believe that there are certain things they can do and certain things they can't do. And this is not just true for India, but for women of Indian origin all over the world. There are certain societal differences, but in situations where a very typical Indian family situation is ingrained wherever they might be, this tends to be a situation with a daughter, with a mother, with a daughter-in-law, with a mother-in-law, with a wife, and a partner. I have often suffered from within just looking at the plight of women in these situations. I don't suffer much myself because I'm a fighter, but I do suffer when I see others who have even lost the will to fight, from within and from without. At the same time, I celebrate those who have taken it as a sweet challenge. A challenge is not always difficult, and even something which is difficult can be very sweet. And people who have taken the challenge of life, of relationships, of family environment, to draw from within themselves and become excellent in what they want to be. We celebrate those women of Indian origin here today. We have many of them with us, and we look forward to listening to them, to listening to their own experiences, and to listening to what they have to say for women of Indian origin in general. I'd like to just now read a little bit. I hate reading welcome addresses, but maybe I'll just read a paragraph so that we can talk about women of Indian origin from a general perspective, and then about the objectives of the GOPIO International Women's Council and what we hope to achieve in coming years. Equality for women has been expounded by global voices for decades. But despite government commitments and UN Millennium Goals, equality of the sexes remains a distant dream. At the start of the 21st century, it's a time for women, especially women of Indian origin, to become major players in shaping the global agenda in every sphere, from business and government to military and social issues. One way to help achieve this goal is to bring women in leadership positions from around the world together to create an internationally recognized independent mechanism to ensure that women are included at the highest decision-making levels, and to monitor whether promises to women in all walks of life are being honored. There is an immediate need for internationally recognized, innovative and effective strategic thinkers and doers to constantly network and share their experiences with women in leadership positions in order to articulate an alternative vision and chart a pathway forward for a more equitable, complementary and peaceful world. I am heartened to have a dedicated and supportive GOPIO International team that is helping realize the visions of GIWC, which is the GOPIO International Women's Council. I would like to especially commend the work of my co-chairs, Rekha Gupta, she's sitting there at the end, and Pushpinder Chaudhary, she's sitting there, though Pushpinder has not been formally inducted as a co-chair yet, but she has worked very, very hard for this conference, and I must thank both of them, as well as my husband and president of GOPIO International, Lord Rana, Mr. Thomas Abraham, who's the founder, president of GOPIO International. He's been a great help. The chairman, Mr. Intl Singh, and the vice president, Ashok Ramsaran, who has always guided me when I faltered. Thank you very much to all of you. I would like to, well, let me now talk about the projects, which are diverse. They cater to different needs of women of Indian origin. In March 2010, the GOPIO Women's Council initiated a Women of Indian Origin outreach mechanism. It started an e-group called Women Indian Origin, which was started end of March. We have quite a few women of Indian origin on that portal. We want to get many, many more, thousands of women, so that there can be interconnectivity, and we are hoping to do that. Then we planned, in January this year, we planned this conference in London, after which we also decided that we will have the annual conference as well on the 26th, and so we decided to have two conferences back to back here. I'm glad that we have with us participants from various countries, from India, from Trinidad and Tobago, from New Zealand, from USA, from France. Have I left out any country?
No. Spain was here.
Spain, yes. Spain and Netherlands, of course. We have quite a few people from Netherlands. And Mauritius, how could I? And South Africa, Durban. Yes. New Zealand here. I said New Zealand. I said, yes. So we have great representation from various countries, but that's not enough. We want to have at least 100 countries in the next 2 years. Perhaps by the third GOPIO International Women's Conference, we will have 100 countries represented.